Hello, good afternoon. This is Kenya Rockman, the author and founder of the Child Support Hustle, the Reform Child Support Now movement. I hope you're okay this afternoon. I'm doing okay, thank you. Uh, Let me make sure my chat is on. I always have to do this. And thank you for joining me. And as the title suggests, let me wait and see if we get a couple more people in. Hello, hello. Thank you guys for joining. Um, so I don't know if you all seen it. Thanks for the like. I've seen it, so I decided to talk about it. And so these T-shirts, they're all over the place. The parents are refusing to co-parent with the government. Um, and I thought it was quite ironic because I know it's a different meaning, and they're meaning something totally different. So they're protesting, wearing the masks in schools. But in my opinion, it's hypocritical because most of these parents would be the same ones filing for child support and calling for enforcement measures when a parent cannot pay child support. And yes, I'm guessing because there's no way to screen all these parents. But just based on the statistics, and we know how large and how big that the child support system is, that there's going to be a couple parents. And I'm not talking about just necessarily the ones that's out there protesting. We know most people aren't going to go and protest or publicly voice their opinions, but they'll sit at home, and type on their computer screen and share this stuff. And yeah, I'm not with that, but at the same time, they participate in one of the largest government programs involving children to date. So that's what I want to talk about. Just to be clear that if you don't like one, if you're not going to have the government involved with co-parent on one level, then be consistent. So people will argue that the two are not the same, but I'm here to prove that the child support system is the ultimate co-parenting example that a person can use, besides the ones that have already been used, such as sending your children to public schools, accepting the child tax credits, or like accepting free lunch or subsidized programs, Medicaid and things like that. So the child support program to begin with is a program that was designed to recover welfare expenditures for who? The government. This is all about the government. They figured out a way to make money off of parents separating, parents having children not married, so unmarried parents having children, people, they figured out a way to profit off of it and get money back to the government to allegedly collect on welfare expenditures that have already been paid by the taxpayers. Double dipping, triple dipping, all kind of ways. So there's your co-parenting right there. So according to the Office of the Child Support Enforcement, the reason that the program was changed in 1996 was to reform welfare laws to expand the role of technology. So the parent had to get in there and make sure they could operate all the parenting things that needed to be operated. They had to be able to function to make sure they get that money. They needed to ensure that children receive more of the support paid by their parents. That sure sounds like co-parenting with the government to me. They say that today the child support program has emerged as a family support program providing support to vulnerable families. So they got to step in. These parents aren't doing a good enough job taking care of our children, your children. So now the government has to step in and, ooh, let's co-parent with these parents. Especially if we call the father absent or non-existent or an abandoner, now we can co-parent with the custodial parent and control everything that has to do with that family. So in translation, the government is co-parenting with you, not non-custodial parents with custodial parents. We know non-custodial parents don't have any rights. They barely have any rights to their children anyway. We add the government in there, they have even less rights, but I'll get into that. Some people may disagree with the participating with the child support system being a form of co-parenting, but the government itself would beg to differ. In December 2016, the federal government released a document prepared by Elaine Sorensen entitled "The Child Support Program is a Good Investment." You know, the child support program encourages responsible parenting, family self-sufficiency. Got to make sure we're sufficient, and child well-being by providing assistance in locating parents. Some parents aren't even missing, but they're going to make sure they find you. Establishing paternity. Some parents don't need paternity established, but this is part of the 5 performance measures. This is how they get money. They want to establish paternity. Some people don't need that. And they establish, modify, and enforce and obtain child support for children. For what? They're going to force you to co-parent with the government so they can control everything, every aspect that it has to do with your children. But you don't co-parent with the government. You refuse to. So just pay attention. But this is not, a lot of us know about this already. So I'm just saying, when y'all see this, this might be an eye opener for other people that say, I refuse to, because I mean, they're marching in the streets over this. So in other words, co-parenting with the custodial parent to make sure the children can, according to Sorensen, quote, count on their parents for financial and emotional support they need to be healthy and successful, end quote. That sounds like something parents do, or co-parent, right? So that's what the government is saying. That's what this system is for. Thank you, government, for helping me co-parent my children. They're going to be so healthy and successful thanks to your help. Why you're charging me? You're charging me money. You're charging me my freedom. You're taking my children from me. Now I'm saying this is coming from a non-custodial parent's perspective. As soon as they step in, they control everything. Thank you, Ra. They're controlling everything. So it's a trade-off. Like with any co-parent, one parent might not want their child to play football. It's too rough. And the other parent might say, me either. They might come, I do. So let's figure out a sport that they can play. Maybe they come up with soccer. So in this co-parent relationship, the government is saying, I'll control every aspect that's going on, and I'll make sure you get I'll trickle down some money to you, to the custodial parent. If you get welfare benefits, in some states, I'm not paying you anything. For a little 177, where's that? Mississippi, 177 a month in a cash benefit. I'm gonna take every piece of child support you get for the life of the child. If there's any arrears owed, I'm taking that too. So, like any proud parent, the government brags at just how successful a parent it is to all that care to listen. They tell you all the time how great that program is. If you listen to them, they brag. The governors brag. Oh, they stole all that money. Thank you, Rod. That was my first, what do you call it, cash thing, whatever. Thank you. So, they stole all this money during the stimulus, when they passed out all the stimulus money. And so if you owed child support arrears, they took and stole it and applied it to arrears, government owed arrears. And then they bragged about how much collections they made in child support after they stole all this money. So if you listen to them, they'll brag about it. So like any proud parent, they brag. So the program is a, quote, government success story, end quote. In fiscal year 2020, the program collected 34.9 billion, in which 1.7 billion went back to the government. That's what they reported. They fudged the numbers some, but 1.7 billion went back to the government or co-parent for welfare costs. They have to get their cut for being such a good parent. They're going to get their money. For every $1 spent on the program, $5.51 was collected nationally. That's profit. And 13.9 million were served by child support, which topped, that only thing that topped it was the SNAP program. That was 15.9 million, and Medicaid at 35.5 million. That's a lot of people co-parenting with the government. So I say, like I said, I'm saying to say this. People will say that they don't co-parent with the government, they refuse to, but co-parent with the government every day. Sorensen goes on to say that the child support can increase or reduce parental conflict. That's a joke. That's a joke. They are so involved with co-parenting that it's not even funny. The fact that they said that they reduce parental conflict, they cannot possibly look at social media. They are not looking at the news. They are not looking at the complaints that parents file. They are not paying attention to people, advocates, people that's saying, screaming, demanding reform because of parental conflict. There's no way, because they don't care. They're the parent that's controlling everything. And as long as they're getting their $4.51 profit on every dollar, they don't care that there's parental conflict. So they say child support can reduce parental conflict because it increases the likelihood and amount of child support paid. So this is misleading because the conflict is often not reduced when the support is too high for a parent to pay. So enforcements are triggered. We know that, and a parent finds themselves with their license suspended, their paychecks garnished, sometimes over the allowed 65%, sometimes 70, 75%. And really 65% is too much, especially when the economy is struggling. It's just too much. They are being left with next to nothing to live on. The arrears are too high to pay. Some parents will never pay off the arrears that are owed. It's going to be impossible. So they'll die owing the government money for child support. That's sad. Their credit is impacted because it's going to be negative on their credit score if you owe arrears on child support. If they're unemployed, they'll be held in a debtor prison because we know they say it's contempt of court, but actually it's a debtor prison when you cannot buy your freedom. Modern day slavery. Or is it even modern day? I'm gonna stop using that because that's slavery. It's still slavery. If you can't leave, if you're being held in bondage, you're a slave. That does not sound like reducing parental conflict. And then the parents are into it with each other. It's so common that, for example, the paying parent is getting garnished, right? The receiving parent is not receiving any money because the co-parent, the government, is taking the money to recover welfare costs. So because the two parents are not speaking to each other, it looks like the paying parent is not paying, the receiving parent is not receiving. So there is the miscommunication, but that one co-parent, the one that's controlling everything, is getting all the money. So the two parents that matter are in conflict with each other. So that's bullshit. But the custodial parent is probably getting some benefits out of this. So the custodial parent and the government, they're co-parenting just fine. It's the non-custodial parent, once again, that's being left out of the mix. It's robbery, and it's unfair, and it's unconstitutional, and it's biased. So the next thing they say, Sorensen says, is that child support reduces financial stress. Can y'all believe this? I put the link in the description that I'm reading from, and this is from the Office of Federal Child Support Enforcement. So this comes from the feds, the co-parent. Child support reduces financial stress and resentment over carrying the full load experienced by custodial parents. Well, financial stress, yeah, the custodial parent, okay. But what about the other parent? But who's the other parent? Who's the co-parent? The government. It's not the non-custodial parent. Because now the government that stepped in and took that role, has taken that role. So now the non-custodial parent has lost that role. So to say that parents don't co-parent with the government to the point that you protesting, we got to ask, what programs are acceptable for you to co-parent with the government in? Once again, the government and the custodial parents are co-parenting wonderfully. The financial and stress and resentment is reduced because there is tax-free money coming in while the other parent is forced to work and will be punished to the fullest extent of the law if the extortion is not paid. Yes, extortion. They might not like that word or that term. That's exactly what it is. If they don't get their money, guess what? That parent is going to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. They have full-fledged criminals that are treated better with more rights than a parent that does not pay child support for whatever reason. And that's a fact. He or she is left out of the entire parenting relationship, that non-custodial parent, once that government gets involved. If there's some parental alienation involved, then again, that non-custodial parent, no right. The government will not even step in and say, my child, if the non-custodial parent is being denied visitation, the government even says, oh, I don't have anything to do with that. They make their hands are clean. They'll enforce child support, but they won't go in and say, you need to let that parent see their child. They made it to where they don't have nothing. How are you going to have something to do with one part if you care so much about the health and well-being and all that kind of stuff about the child? How are you going to be responsible for the money, which is minor compared to that child having a relationship with their other parent? Because they don't care. They done stepped in. The government has stepped in because they figured out a way to profit off of our broken families. They don't say anything about it. But they'll blame fatherlessness on that father. But then they'll not make that mother let that man see his child, raise his child, say anything about that child, but will throw him in jail if he don't have enough money to pay them while they co-parenting. So Sorensen mentions that with the two earlier points, receiving child support, they reduce fights over money. We know that's not true. They encourage custodial parents to facilitate relationships between non-custodial parents and their children. Oh, this is something else to say. Encourage custodial parents to facilitate relationships between non-custodial parents and their children. We can ask the millions of alienated parents if this child support system and this co-parent, the government, helps facilitate relationships between non-custodial parents and their children. And that I would like to see in the comments. If y'all watch this later, put in the comments on how the government has helped or hindered your relationship with your child as far as the child support system is concerned, how they stepped in and helped facilitate a relationship with you and your child once the government has gotten involved. I'm gonna leave that right there because that's a lot of nerve. She also says it increases predictability, stability, and mutual respect in the co-parenting relationship. Now, maybe with the government and the custodial parent, all that is true. The government can control predictability of payments because they control the income withholding. If the employer doesn't withhold or honor that income withholding order, they are fined. They are punished. So if you control that, then of course you can control the predictability of the payments. Most people have to work to get paid to, survive. So in fact, 65% of all child support was collected through income withholding in 2020. Now that was down from 75% in 2019. And we all know that's from the pandemic. People weren't working. So of course that's going to go down. And they knew this and they know that, but instead of canceling child support payments and coming up with something like stimulus money or the child tax credits and what they're doing now, and just canceling child support because parents were not working, they kept the payments going. They denied modifications if the parents were even able to get the application processed. So now parents are on the hook for even more child support, even though they knew that's a 10% decrease in 1 year from income withholding. But they did nothing about it because the parents over there co-parenting are in control of everything. They can't control stability, clearly, that's evident from the pandemic, nor can they control mutual respect between parents. Even when the custodial parent decides to co-parent with the government, you can't control the relationship that parents have with each other, especially when you put one parent completely in charge of the other parent, like this system does. It's not a 50-50 mutually fair relationship where they respect that both parents are equally important to that child. And unless we get that, the system, that government is always going to be the co-parent that's in charge of all of this. So while you're out there marching saying you refuse to co-parent with the government, keep this in mind, because that really is that's minor compared to what control the child support system has over families, children, parents as a whole. They control everything. And I mean everything. So even if you're not protesting with your "I do not co-parent with the government" t-shirt, if you're liking, sharing, commenting this message on social media and everything like that, just remember there are more ways than one to co-parent with Uncle Sam. One of the biggest ways is to participate willfully with the child support system, especially when you don't have to do so. When you don't have to go down there. Now, I understand sometimes there are situations where both the parents cannot. There might be some domestic violence going on. And I know, don't get me wrong, I do not condone any violence, anything like that. Sometimes you have to, I'm not going near that person, whether it's him or her, you know what I mean? Don't go near them. That's not worth it. But if you can do it and you just, mad because that person moved on or something like that, sometimes you gotta, be a parent. Put our adult, our adult clothes on and and we have to suck it up and drive on. And we have to do it for our children. We have to co-parent with the other parent for the best interest of our children. That's it. Those things have to be considered when we decide to have children. If you depend on the government to enforce draconian rules like license suspensions and locking the other parent up when you know they cannot afford to pay, you are definitely co-parenting with the government. It's very easy to call for less government, but still want more government when it's beneficial to your way of life. And the child support system is definitely big government. It's one of the biggest programs out. So that's my video. I put some stats in there, so hopefully that if you need to have some numbers or something, I have the sources in the description as always. Let me look at these comments real quick. I want to thank everybody for joining. Thank you again, Rob, for your what I don't forget what this is called, like chat, because I'm new to this, but what is that called? I don't know. Hey, Dwayne. Dwayne, send me an inbox, cshustle, the number one at gmail.com, please. And I'll see if I can at least get you in the right direction or get you to somebody that may be able to help you with your case, okay? Right, crickets, Willie G. They always want to pump that system up like it's so great, man. It's just not. Like I said, it may be beneficial. Some people need that system just because they need a mediator. But it's not up for me to say, oh, just like it's not up for them to say that we should or you all should have to go through that system. I don't care. I don't care. We have a freedom to decide whether we should have to make the government a co-parent in our relationship with our family. You're welcome, Willie. So that's my video for today. I thank you all for joining. I thank you all for subscribing to my channel. It's very much appreciated. As always, if you want to get a copy of my book, The Child Support Hustle, it's available on my website, thechildsupporthustle.com. You can get a t-shirt. The Child Support Hustle. I should make one about co-parenting. You co-parenting with the damn government. If you want to take that child, if you don't want to co-parent with the government, close that damn child support case. If you want us to believe you, close that case. Thank you, Salim. Is it Salim? I appreciate that. I can't say it. I used to be able to say that. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I used to be able to say that. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I put all my links that you can go on social media. If you want to follow me, I put my website. I have a lot of articles that I've written there. If you want to look some stuff up, if there's an issue that you have, I've probably written about it. I maybe have made a video about it. I've been doing this for a minute. So like I've said this a few times before, but I don't work on individual cases like I used to, but I will try to get you to the right place, to point you in the right direction, send you a link, a video, and try to get you to somebody that can help you with your case. What was I about to say? Oh, shoot, I lost my train of thought. But I'll try to, get you to where you need to be. If you need to file a complaint against an agency that is doing your case, like if you know that they've not served you before and they don't have jurisdiction and you want to file a complaint to get the case closed or things like that, I'm gonna put the link up here, and this is to the regional offices. But first, you want to file a complaint first with the local agency before you file it with the regional, state, the federal agency, but the state regional office, or they're just going to kick it back. So let me pull that up real quick. And don't let them shut you up and keep, oh, we can't do anything. That's their job. They'll sit up there and say it's not, but that's their job. And we got to fight for what's right. Where is my, hold on for a second, guys. There it is. And fight, you're your biggest and strongest advocate. Put that, here it is. I'm gonna put this in there. But I don't know if you can see this after the chat ends. But if you can't, if you send me a message, I'll repost it in the description. But that'll have like all the regional offices. And I would put the I'm gonna put that anyway. But I know that if you send these people, this is the office in DC. If you send these people a complaint, if you fill out this complaint, they're just going to refer you back to your local office. But file a complaint if you are getting nowhere, you're not getting any help. I definitely recommend that you file a complaint against these child support workers, because really they're supposed to be helping the whole family, not just the custodial parent. Yeah, he was in Ohio. He was in Ohio. I forget what county it was, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, Willie. Thank you for joining me. Who's that? Rod. Prayers to you as well. And I know some people go on Facebook and send me messages and stuff like that. I'm not really active on Facebook like I used to be. So if you want to reach me, or you just have like a question, a general question, it's best to email me. cshustle1@gmail.com. If you want to donate to the cause, I have that in my thing as well, in my, what's the name, and all my little contacts. So yeah, the hustle is real. You got that right. Oh, if you want to volunteer to send a letter that attorney Cassandra Daniels and myself have put together to send to legislators in your city, state, you can send me an email and I will send you a copy of the letter. We're looking for volunteers to send that out. There's a video that I made going over the letter. So just go back on my videos and you can watch and see watch and find out what the letter is about. If you want to volunteer, just send me an email with letter in the subject line. Okay. All right. I did this video early because I have a bunch of stuff to do, but I wanted to get this out because I've been seeing it and I was like, these people said, and I put it on Twitter, if you want to do this, then close your child support case. Can you imagine if people was really serious about not co-parenting with the government and really closing their cases? Man, it'll be a new day. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining. Thanks for the likes. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends, tell a friend, get a book, show your support. I appreciate y'all. And remember, they can ignore hundreds, they can ignore thousands, but they cannot ignore millions. Let's go.